How's it going, guys? Welcome to the Dymac channel. If you're new to me, thank you very much for clicking on this video. I'm Chris Bilton, I'm a professional jeweller in the UK, but now living in Japan making YouTube videos, so welcome. Please hit like and subscribe if you're into all that. Today is a little bit different to what I normally do because we are working with Nezuko. Nezuko is very, very popular character in Japan, anime character, and my kids love her. Personally, she's like a half demon. She's like a 12-year-old girl, half human, half demon, and I think the cartoon's a bit too gory for my 5-year-old twin daughters. Lots of zombies and stuff getting their heads ripped off and that. I think it's too much, but the kids like it and it's really popular and like immensely popular, like completely took over. It's like what Ninja Turtles was for me in the 80s. That's what Nezuko is for the kids now in Japan. Anyway, I really like this doll. Her hands are, well, let me show you up close. Right, this is her hands. Like I really like them. They kind of nailed the design, yeah. They're demon-esque, but not so much they've lost their femininity. It got them just right. So I'm going to try and make one, yeah. Just going to copy it. Partly because simply I've never done anything like this before. It's sort of getting into sort of carving, sculpture almost. So I'm going to do it by forming metals. I'll be using all my normal tools and stuff. Before I get into it, please allow me a moment to say thank you to some new patrons. We got Corbin Hooker, Edward Baker, Barry Freeman, Yuko Tabata, Arigato Yuko-san, Anata wa totomo shinsetsu desu. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. Dave Antrobus. So thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate you becoming patrons. Very grateful to all the patrons and members as usual. Like they basically contributing a little bit of money and helps me continue and grow this channel, because if you're a practicing jeweler, I'm sure you're well aware, like buff paper, drills, burrs, files, saw blades and all that all sort of cost money to keep this hobby going. But you are effectively making things with value, so you can sell and make money obviously from your work at the bench as well. But as for just doing this YouTube channel, I'm not actually really making anything to sell, so any income is really helping me continue it. This bit of metal, it's a melt up from little scrappy bits, so I'm hoping it's going to be alright when I start squashing it and drilling it and bending it about and stuff. So what I've done is got a big flat bit. Rather than making a long bit and trying to mill it out wide, I thought I'd just let it go flat on the metal block. So I'm covering my distance I need. I'm looking at her hand like it's that shape plus the distance going down. I'm thinking of just cutting that and then it'll be flat, yeah. I'll cut that and then force that down. That'll be like her thumb section. And then obviously the fingers will be divided up and bent about however they need to be. It'll just be the hand section. I don't think I've got metal for the wrist. Yeah, looking at the back of their hands, there's a little bit of detail there, sort of concaved. They haven't really gone to a great effort for the back of the hands, don't blame them. But I think this will be enough. I'm not really trying to replicate it. I'm not making a piece of jewellery here. I'm sort of got my artist head on, not my craftsman head on, so I'm just going to be banging it about and hacking it up, just trying to artistically create a hand very similar to that, not identical, doesn't matter that much to me. But I want the experience of actually trying to create that. I'm going to learn a lot doing this. So I've got Nezuko's hand and then obviously my hand as well, like for a guide. So I'm just looking at that. I feel like this side of my hand is thicker than this side. Obviously it tapers down thinner, then my fingertips are thinner than my wrist end. So just from that knowledge, it gives me a head start on forming this before I really start trying to make it into a hand. I can basically get the basic shape, so it's going to be sort of looking through it from the side, sort of triangular going that way, and then the long ways as well, sort of triangular going down towards the fingertips. So just studying my metal a little bit. There's a bit of a bulge on that side, so it's her right hand, so it suits me that it is like that. So it's quite easy for me to envisage a hand as I put it down, but it needs a bit of whacking, so I'm just going to start by hammering it. Might use my mills on it. Let's just see how this goes. So I'm tapping down this section. I'm nervous holding onto it, so I need to hit it quite hard. fingers. Okay, this needs to be a bit thinner. This is not a how-to video, so I'm not going to show you everything, but just tell you what that was all about, me milling it and adjusting the height all the time. It was actually thicker on this side, on the wrong side, so now I've got this kind of thickness going towards the centre, slightly off-centre, and then it's gone narrower there. That's going to this side, and then the same for the length as well. So it's thicker there, and then tapering off that way. So becoming more suitable to become a hand. So initially, when I went through the sort of job in my mind, I was thinking, I mentioned it earlier, I'll cut there and then bend this down. It's like trying to form the hand before I've really got the shape. I think I should just make a flat hand and then even have all the fingers and everything all cut out, and then start doing this and then bending it about. I think that's a more sensible way to get it done. Have sort of more control over how it's going to finish. So I'm going to do that. So that's really close to what I need already. So I'm just going to file over it, get it a bit more neat, I guess, and then turn it into a hand shape and then cut out the fingers. That's just a slightly more workable surface now. Now I am basically going to, and my end result just has to be very similar, basically, because this design works, so I want to copy this as much as I can, but I'm not too concerned with it being identical. So she's got quite a long thumb. I want to sharp nails without having to add bits of metal, so I've got to incorporate that, consider that when I'm cutting it out. It's like a mitten. Do some thicker saw blades. So I'm putting mine over the top. I can see I've got the metal there. I've got loads of metal there for the thumb. I don't want to cut it back anymore. I want plenty to work with to file it about. But positioning that over there, I need more length on the fingers, but luckily I've still got a massive chunk of metal there, so easily enough to flatten it and stretch it out a bit more. So I'm going to do that. Alright, so I've just been filing it, neatening it all up. See, I've got thicker this side, thinner that side, got these kind of triangle sections going on. And now I want to fold that thumb down, so I'm just looking closely at her hand. It sort of folds along that angle, and I'm thinking, well, how am I going to do that? I think I'm just going to put it in my vise, like up to there, leave that exposed, and then use something to bang it back. Just a bit brutal, a bit crude, but we are just forming a big chunk of metal essentially, so we're still on the heavy tools. Right, so you see that's in the vise now. You see that line? Looking at the hand, yeah, it sort of, when that goes down, it doesn't fold down straight, it's kind of down a little bit. So that's what they've done on Nezuko's hand, so I've copied that. Now I've just got to find a way to get that to bend down, and I'm going to hit it with something. Not what it's intended for, but I got this set square thing. Maybe that way won't damage it as much. Working. I think that'll do. So I'm just going to round off the edges now a little bit more, take it a step closer to being a hand. Just around the outside, and then obviously separate the fingers, and then we're really getting into it then. What are you saying, Nezuko? You alright? She's got bamboo muzzle on, she's going to say a lot. In fact, I don't think she actually speaks in the cartoon. Like, I can't remember her ever speaking. She just makes this noise. And her older brother carries her around. Like, she shrinks, yeah, and then she gets in a box and her older brother carries her around looking after her. It's a bit weird. I think I can use promotional material without any risk of like copyright infringement, so I'll see what I can find and I'll put some on the screen so you can see what it's about while I do this. I'm not too concerned about the palm side, but just to give it a bit of realism, the palm is a bit more chunky than the fingers, yeah, so I'm actually filing the fingers thinner from underneath to give me that kind of ridge. So I'm thinking of just cutting straight lines down and then make them look more like fingers with just the work shaping them up. So scrap that, I decided to do one at a time, because if I cut them just thin saw cuts and then separate them, they might look too narrow at the base and spread out. That'll ruin it, I won't be able to change it too much. So if I do one, I might have to cut a sort of thicker gap in between each finger, just to copy the design of her hands more closely. So I decided to do one at a time. So I'm just chopping this one down slightly on the thick side, so I've got spare metal to do it. So I think as a general rule, a longer, thinner finger is going to look more feminine, which is what hers are. And she's got sharp nails as well, which kind of exaggerates the length even more. So I might cut mine a bit more. So I chopped off that finger, didn't chop it off, chopped out that finger, thinned it off a little bit. It was amazing how much longer it looked just from thinning it out, kind of illusion you get. But this finger needs to be longer, like, you know, on our hands. Like the middle one is always longer, so that's full length. I'm going to have to shorten this one a little bit, like that much or something. Let's chop this one out, going down to about there. What's our hands doing? Yeah. Thin, one next to it. I'll do the same again, I'll give it I cut two lines out, so there's a bit of a space between them. It helps me get the tool in there as well to work around it. Done. Update, look, just been working around it. I noticed her hands, she's got quite deep grooves going back into her hand, like as we all do, I guess. So I'm going to have to shape that. Quite a lot of that going on. Obviously the fingers are more rounded, mine are really, really flat and square at the moment. Okay, so that's the stage I'm getting it to. I was going to start bending it. Let me just push this back a bit. So I want to, tell you what I could do, literally draw the knuckle joints on there. Where's Nez? Come here, Nez. Sit down. Behave yourself. Nail. Not really anything there. Knuckle. These are knuckles. Nail, nail, nail. Okay, that's going to help me find out where I want everything bent from. Little finger on Nezuko is, it's not just out, it's actually sort of twisted down, so there's quite a lot of shape to the hand, which I like. It's going to help me make this look more handy if I actually put some shape on it. They're not just flat like this, are they? They are actually bending down. And I'll do that by literally just grabbing it and bending it. This is where I was hoping my piece of metal was kind of decent quality. So, you know, I said I melted it up out of loads of little bits. If it's all full of porosity and all coming apart, doing stuff like this, it will break up. Get all cracks in it and stuff. I think it's alright. Little finger twists out. Yeah, it looks twisted right down the side of the palm. Can't really twist that easy. You'll have to just file it to look like it's twisted. Okay, I think that's enough. A little bit more. Emergency. Emergency. Look at that. This is the problem when you got loads of little bits of metal or bits of solder on and stuff, you melt them all up. The metal loses all its ductility, can be prone to cracking like that. And where I worked in London, yeah, we refused to melt up people's old gold and then make stuff with it. We did it once, like in the 12 years I was there, just a nice old couple. They were previous customers, so they had a bit of power over us. But they were just like begging that we use this gold. It was obviously sentimental to them. To make a wedding ring, and so we agreed on that time. It was me that made it. My good God, it was just constantly cracking like that. I was trying to mill it out and just get it longer. It was just all splitting, coming apart. Real nightmare to work with. And we were like, that's it. That's like a classic example. Why will you say no to it usually? If someone's really adamant that they want to give you old gold or loads of bits for melting up, just accept it. Give them scrap value for it, and you can show them all the paperwork for what it was worth scrap. Usually people are quite pleasantly surprised, and then that can contribute towards paying you for fresh gold and making it nicely. Because if you're having trouble like that, it slows you down. So labour charge goes up, because you know labour cost is always a big percentage of a finished piece of jewellery's value anyway. So yeah, you literally have an easier time making it and do it quicker if you've got fresh metal rather than battling against problems like that. So anyway, I'm going to close this up and put a lot of solder on it. I'll try and really overly melt it on. So just about to solder that. Check this out. Little taste of Japan for you. Hear that? Like drumming. Drumming in the flutes. That's our Odori festival. Every August in Tokushima, there's like a very historic festival. Been going like every year for 400 years. Still doing it now. Like very, very traditional dance and headwear, and I'll put something on the screen for you, but it's quite interesting. It's good fun. Got cancelled first time in like hundreds of years because of COVID. I stopped. But yeah, every August. It's October now. I don't know why they're doing it. It's a school over there. Maybe they're training for something. I don't know. But yeah, it's very makes you really feel like you're in Japan when you experience stuff like that, like proper tradition. So oh, here you go. Our Odori was born out of a particularly raucous, drunken party celebrating the opening of Tokushima Castle in 1586. The resulting dance, called the Fool's Dance, has been done at the Our Odori Festival every August since. That's tradition. I don't think England, we have celebratory traditions like that. I mean, it's sort of around the royal family, but nothing like this. Nothing where we all come together in all like traditional dress and do a dance together. Nothing like that at all. Maybe Morris dancing. Not really. Right, cool. So yeah, I appreciate that about living in Japan. They are very forward-thinking, but also they don't let go of their past. Anything special like that is continued and celebrated. So that's nice about Japanese people and living in Japan. Right, should I get on with this? So I repaired it best possible, and not ideal at all when this kind of thing happens to you. If it does happen to you, have a close look at the metal around it. Look at that. The metal on these fingers is horrible. I thought that one felt squishy when I squashed it. It's literally like hollow. It's like a sort of biscuit. Luckily, I haven't got to shape these around too much. Most of my shaping will just be done with filing and grinding and stuff. But yeah, horrible piece of metal. So I nervously proceed with this dodgy metal on the burrs. Burrs are really good for getting in between them and giving the fingers a bit of shape. Rescued the little finger, but I'm scared. Like Nezuko's one's more like turning and twisting out. I'm a bit scared to adjust mine now because I've shaped it up quite nicely, but I don't want to risk twisting it and then just pulling it off. So I'm going to leave it like that. I ended up really thinking that the fingers were still a bit short, so I cut them down a little bit more, and then obviously being nervous of just grabbing them with pliers, I put it in the vise again and just got a small ball punch and then just banged it right at the bottom to try and bend it back a bit more. Sort of worked. I've been doing a lot of work with this. It's really good for shifting metal where you don't want it. You can really watch what's going on and sort of sharpening up fingers and stuff. So I'm just looking at Nezzy's, see what's she doing. I've got to bend it a bit more, it's too flat. Can I twist your little finger, please, Nezuko, without breaking? Yeah. Okay, so next day, continuing where we left off, I'm gonna accompany the rest of the video with this 1 hour of silence broken by gnome noises. So I'll just have that playing in the background just for my own amusement. Get a little gnome noise. Put that there. Okay, right. It's always interesting when you pick up a job you were doing the day before and then look at it with like what I call fresh eyes and a fresh mind. You get to see it with a different kind of perspective, literally like there's a different mind in your head. Different mood, different level of tiredness and all that. You can see things a little bit differently. You can pick out faults, or you can like things where you didn't like it before, or vice versa. It's always interesting how you react to something you made the day before. Yeah, this is not this is not an elegant young female hand. This is a scary monster hand. And looking at them side by side, they're quite different. Her hand is long and slim. Mine is very wide. Like, actually putting my digital calipers on it, my fingers and stuff are kind of the same length, but just the actual hand, back of the hand, is so much wider and chunkier. It looks horrible. So I'm gonna narrow it off where best possible. Little gnome noise there. So I'm just gonna have to narrow it off. I think I can take some off there. It's gonna help it a bit. It's just too heavy and flat looking. Also, I had a bit of trouble with my little finger again at the end of the day. It's a bit of a liability, this piece of metal. As is always the case, you do a lot of learning the first time you try something. Like if I started this again, I'd do it so much better next time. I'd have much more of a head start on knowing like thicknesses, widths, like lengths of the fingers and stuff, because I had to stretch this metal out. Yeah, just it'll be much better doing it again. So I'm liking the angles, but I just got to kind of scale them in a little bit. It's just going to help it look longer and thinner. And also checking against my own hand, this is very rounded here. So obviously being a big flat side doesn't help it look nice at all. Just going to bend the thumb down a little bit more as well. Let's tighten that up. It's all helping it look a bit more longer and thinner, taking weight off there and then bending that thumb down, which is actually what Nezuko's hand does. You can exaggerate it further with a file again. So what I've just done in the few minutes I've been working on it this morning has improved it loads. So I do recommend, if you're struggling with something, not going well, just put it down, do it another time. I think all practicing jewellers, especially people who worked full-time, would have had the experience and will confirm that you can struggle with something all one day and then the next morning you try it, get on with it, like, oh God, not this again. And it just works perfectly, and you think, well, what was all that about yesterday? You think something like a natural shape, like a hand, they all come in different shapes and sizes. You think it'd be quite forgiving for changing the shapes of it, but I'm finding as I file it, trying to put a bit more of an angle there, it just looks worse all of a sudden. If it's too rounded, it starts to look too cartoony. I sort of want a mix of what's real and what's anime, basically, but it's actually quite hard. Wondering if I can narrow it down a little bit more, thin off the fingers. Might help it look a bit more feminine. My little finger, I haven't copied the fingers exactly, I'm just leaving mine as they are. Maybe bend them a little bit, but I'm nervous of the fingers because of that crumbly metal. So looking at my hand and being critical of it, it just looks like a hard metal hand. Like Nezuko's hands, there's sort of a delicate softness to the touch. I'm not getting that effect. It's like the old Italian master sculptors, Donatello and Michelangelo, and all the other Ninja Turtles. If you look at their statues in marble and stuff, they're amazing. Like skin and flesh, it looks like, like you can look at something and you can imagine what it feels like. It's part of appreciation of looking at artworks. You sort of get a sense beyond just what the vision is. Can stir up emotions and all that. That's why people love artworks. When people are touching, their sculptures look soft. And have you seen the veiled Christ, I think it is? Forgive me if that's wrong. There's a veiled figure, and it literally looks like a transparent veil over a face. But it's just carved in stone. It's quite amazing what's possible, what people can do. I'm not getting that. I've just got this solid looking hand. I don't really know what I've got to do to get this kind of softness, sensualness of it. I don't know how to continue to get that. It's something beyond just technical ability and actually recreating something three-dimensionally. There's something extra which I don't have. Okay, you learn a lot just from looking at it. What really helps her hand look nice is she's touching her hand, so her wrist is bent down and then the fingers are sort of pushed up like that. So she's got this kind of S-curve. S-curves are really nice and just on all designs, like car design, like any kind of animal design, just whatever, any building, just S-curves. Always a good thing. I don't have that. Look how flat and horrible mine is going across there. So really, I've got to a stage where I can't keep taking metal off. I need that actually built up there, which I can't do, obviously. Okay, so with that in mind, I may leave it at this stage, which is not ideal, but this video was not about showing you how to do it. It was not about really coming up with a perfectly finished result. It was more about the journey of actually trying something new and learning new techniques and working in metal artistically, rather than like a craftsman trying to come up with something really made perfectly with all the correct measurements. Not about that at all. So it's just interesting for me to work with a big lump of metal, really study the curvature of a hand, appreciating the angles and the angle changes. Just working three-dimensionally, something artistically is quite new to me. I have done it before, but it is a challenge. More than drawing, I think. 'Cause even drawing a hand, you may know, is difficult. And a lot of people can't do it. And you can see some very highly skilled painters doing a nice painting, but if you check out the hands, they're always let the painting down a little bit. But I've got to give it to Japanese anime character designers. They're very good at hands. The hands are always look good in their own style, like really suited to the Japanese style. Yeah, if you ever see some Japanese anime, look at the hands. They're always very good at it. Not something easy to do. So I'm reasonably happy with it. I'm very happy with what I learned. Definitely feel like I could do a better job next time, which is important. And yeah, didn't quite achieve the demon-esque feminine hand that I wanted, but I learned a lot, and I think I'm tempted to sort of have another go in the future. So thank you for watching, guys. Not my usual video, but there are a few videos like this on the channel where I'm experimenting, because I think it's important. If you're a jeweler, just try things you haven't done much before, or not used to, or you feel like you're going to do a bad job, and then really you should go in that direction, because discomfort is where all the growth is. That's where all the hidden treasure is of acquiring new skills. It's doing things you don't want to do, doing things you know you don't enjoy. Quite often you can try it, be surprised with the results, and then you end up enjoying it, and you get a new direction, a new sort of level of consciousness on what's possible at the workbench. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you liked it, please click like and subscribe. Helps the channel grow and all that. If you want to become a patron or a member, links in the description. You can follow those links and learn about all the perks of doing so. And yeah, if not, just watch and enjoy, and I hope you join me again on the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye.